We're building up to something very dangerous here, of a US attack on either Venezuela or Colombia or both. We're moving into a very dangerous phase in the southern Caribbean at the present time. The United States has always been strongly opposed to the governments of Venezuela ever since Hugo Chavez became president. They've also been very hostile to the government of Colombia, particularly since President Petro was elected. And so they have put enormous sanctions on Venezuela, which has done a lot of damage to the Venezuelan economy, and they're extremely hostile and very threatening towards the government of Colombia. They are now routinely bombing ships in the southern Caribbean on the small area of sea between Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela, and claiming that all of the ships they're bombing are actually small ships, they're very small ships, are actually carrying drugs without checking, without any evidence, without even an attempt to arrest those vessels. There are fishermen in Trinidad who tell us that they're daily harassed by the US Navy in the waters where they're fishing off the coast of Trinidad. And so we're building up to something very dangerous here, of a US attack on either Venezuela or Colombia or both, and an attempt to persuade Grenada to host a US military base, attempt to persuade Trinidad to host a US military base in order to potentially launch attacks against Venezuela. We don't need any of that. Venezuela and Colombia do not want the drug trade. They are doing everything they can to try and halt the drugs trade because they know the damage it does. They know the damage it does in their own societies, and they know the damage that the most dangerous drugs cause when they arrive in Canada, the United States, Europe, or anywhere else. Cuba knows the same damage as well. And up until Trump, there was actually quite a lot of informal cooperation between all forces in the Caribbean to try and prevent the drugs trade going forward. What we need is not US military intervention. What we need is recognition of the need for social progress in both Colombia and Venezuela, and an end to the sanctions regime against particularly Venezuela and Colombia, but also against Cuba by the United States.